Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Why are you being weird?
I was just, okay, we're ready to start. I'm ready.
We are doing something special today. We have a special guest.
So special.
She is the first person that we thought of when Holly and I decided we wanted to do interviews. Literally, and you know I don't overuse that word.
But you are starting to overuse this statement.
Because it's a joke. Yeah, it's true. All that to say,
yeah.
She was the first person that we wanted to bring on, and we were both agreed, and that is Courtney Weston.
Here she is.
Hi.
Courtney is awesome. I met Courtney the first time. I think I was in third grade and she was in second, but I don't remember her very well.
So you guys are bringing before me a great history.
Yeah, well,
yes,
I knew
we
we went to elementary school, but we weren't weren't tight or anything like that. Then we reconnected.
Wow.
She married one of our friends, moved to Tulsa. And how long have you been in Tulsa now?
8 years.
That's crazy.
I think so. Maybe 9 this year, yeah.
It feels like she's been here forever.
Aww.
So Courtney is really awesome. She has run a business before she got married. She had an Etsy business, a leather business that she ran. And now she is a mom of a 2-year-old, and she has a clothing company called Rooney. Is it Rooney Clothing? Just Rooney?
Yeah.
And I love Courtney because I'm going to make eye contact with you.
Please hold direct eye contact this whole time.
Please
Make you feel super uncomfortable. I love Courtney because she is so good at doing what she says she's going to do in friendships, in her business. If she has an idea, if Courtney thinks she needs to do it, she actually follows through and does it. Holly Ann and I,
Hey.
Holly's better than me. Holly is horrible. No,
Holly, on the other hand, Holly, look at me. You need to clean it up.
I feel like you and I have talked about before, like,
We talk about Courtney behind her back.
we know what we need
In the
to
best
do,
way.
but we're not good at doing it. And Courtney is just like good at doing it. And that's super inspiring. And she's got a new thing she's working on, a journal. We can talk about that. And all of you need to buy it. But we're super excited to have her on. We've told her it's a casual conversation that we just happen to be recording.
We just happened upon this.
Yeah.
We do this kind of thing all the
here
time.
with a microphone.
Yeah.
In front of my face.
Is that not how you do daily life?
Absolutely not.
So, okay, tell us about your journal.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. And thanks for all the kind words. I mean,
Well, and I guess to start,
that's
you
really
could just tell
kind.
us a little bit about you.
okay.
No, straight no.
You cover,
No, straight to business.
Yes, tell us about you.
You covered a lot. So I'm married to Jordan, and my daughter's Willow. She's 2. She and Everly, Holly's daughter, are a month apart, and we met right before we had
We were
our
both big
girls.
and pregnant.
We were huge, and
I remember
you came over to my house, and I was like, "Hi,
Yes.
we're both pregnant." Cool.
I remember we had come over because you guys were renovating, or you had just finished renovating your cottage.
Yeah.
And we had just started coming to the church that we all go to. And
Yeah.
I met both of you at. And I remember Micah was like, well, just stop by. It won't be awkward. Like, Jordan's wife will be there. You can meet everybody. And yeah, I just remember we were both like big and pregnant. Like, hi, yeah, I'm about to have a baby.
That's what we have in common. Yeah,
Yes.
at this point.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then the pandemic hit, so good timing.
Yeah.
On meeting each other. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what's more to say except you covered it all. Rooney is like a sewing pattern business, and that's what I work on most of the time. I have another small business, which is tire covers, which is kind of random, but yeah, that's another business I have, and I just love to make things. That's kind of the motivation behind a lot of things that I do. So yeah, and then like you said, I created a journal recently. So.
Yes. Okay, so journaling is something that you have done.
For a long time, yeah.
Why?
Why would
Why
you do that?
Why do you journal? I've dabbled, like sort of, but I think I'm doing it wrong or haven't found my
Rhythm.
yes,
groove.
I have not found my rhythm. But I love the idea of being a journaler. So why do you love it?
Okay, so I don't know when I started. I think I've journaled as a kid. I found some journals that are kind of really not fun to look at. But yeah, I've journaled consistently. I can look back around the time I met Jordan, which is about 8 or 9 years ago. I journaled very consistently back then. And then I think it was up a couple years ago, I could see I was intentionally journaling more honest thoughts instead of just like what I was maybe learning. So I journal to really process a lot of life and my emotions, and even like the happy moments and also the disappointments. And I am a slow processor. I don't necessarily know what I'm feeling in the moment, and I'll look back, or a few hours later, a couple days later, I'll be like, I do not feel good. Or what is this? Like, what is this feeling? So I journaled to kind of process through those things. But my mom taught me to keep a gratitude journal. So I've done that since she told me to do that years ago. And I think that was kind of like the starting point of a big change of every day sitting down at the beginning of the day and saying, I'm grateful for this. Like, as simple as I'm grateful for my dog, and I'm grateful for the sunrise that I'm watching right now. I'm grateful that I have a home to live in and a roof over my head. Like those simple things, but also the feelings of like, I'm grateful that right now I feel joy. I feel at peace. And then sometimes I'm grateful that we're walking through this disappointing thing, but I'm learning throughout it. So that's where I start. Is I usually start with what I'm grateful for, and then that is usually like a starting point to what I'm just going to continue writing. But through writing out my feelings, I feel like I've just been able to process a lot of life a little bit more easily, since it doesn't come naturally for me, and it doesn't come naturally for me to talk to somebody about it initially. I'll have to journal about it first before I bring it to someone.
I'll get back with you. Let me go journal really quick.
Yeah, right now.
Jordan will be like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, let me go get my journal. I got to read it first. So yeah, it doesn't come naturally for me in that area.
That's so interesting. But I love that you start your day. So are you saying like wake up first thing? That's what you do, is you go
Yes.
sit down.
So I look forward to it. I mean, I know it's hard to think like that's something you would look forward to when you don't do it. But when you create, like I've created a routine every morning that is exciting enough for me to look forward to. If it was like I dreaded it, I would obviously not wake up excited. I would sleep through my alarm, stuff like that. So I have a routine. I wake up and I go make tea and obviously like brush my teeth stuff. And then I go open up the windows, like the blinds, and then I sit down and grab my journal and my stack of books, and I just sit down in the same spot every morning, and I go through the same routine. I'm writing what I'm grateful for, and I do this before Willow wakes up, because if I don't, it's not a good thing. And so, yeah, it's first thing in the morning, and then obviously, like, sometimes I journal at night if it was a hard day or I'm just feeling off. Usually, if I can just feel off in my body, then I'm just like, I should go write about this. Or if something happened or someone said something and it was just not really sitting well with me, I really just like write it out. And I think I don't know, like maybe even if it's not easy to write, like saying it into your phone, I know it's kind of weird, but like a voice memo to yourself, like that only you would hear, or you delete immediately. Like, I think that's helpful. So yeah, I do it first thing.
I do think it's easy as moms, and speaking for, we have a lot of mom listeners, and we have had submissions of people kind of speaking to, I'm a new mom, or I'm a mom of 2 or 3 kids, and it's hard to feel like myself, or it's hard to feel like I can get any type of routines, or the sleep schedules are out of whack or anything. So was there something like when you, now having been a mom for 2 years since Willow just turned 2, was there like a small period of time where it felt like you felt that new mom sense of, I feel disconnected. I feel out of sorts. I don't know how to make a routine work right now because it just doesn't feel possible, even though we know the truth that it's always possible, but it's a matter of like what that looks like to get to that place.
Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh, it was rough having Willow. Like after I had Willow, we kind of, I mean, like I said earlier, the pandemic hit right at the same time we had her. Pros and cons to that, like you're at home, which is nice, but you're also at home, which is, it's disorienting. And having a, what I would say, like traumatic birth story from our end, I just felt so lost. Like I felt, I don't know who I am. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I don't even think like I'm going to be who I was. And obviously like that's not necessarily the goal to be who I was, but it's not fun to not feel like yourself or like not recognize yourself. And so that was a really hard moment. And it's even hard to like read back my journals from that time of just, I think there was like 3 or 4 months of, I mean, that is a postpartum period. So it's really fresh. And that was just some like dark moments of questioning, and I would journal in those moments, and I'm glad I did. And I would do it while she slept, and so it is nice in the beginning where they're just sleeping, which is so nice. You're just like, wow, are you gonna ever be awake? And then now you're like, are you ever gonna be asleep?
Can you be quiet?
So that was a really, really hard season for me, and that's where like I went to journaling, and I kind of forgot what you asked me. Sorry.
No, I feel like that's super helpful because I think speaking to those moms who are either in the new stages, but I also think for those who haven't found their out, as in they haven't found journaling or they haven't found going for a daily walk or like making yourself do the thing because it feels like, I know I had experience sometimes of just, I don't want to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, obviously that's a form of depression for sure. And obviously like postpartum hormones. I mean, there's a lot going on, but I think it came down to deciding, do I want a way out of this and what's something simple as opposed to, okay, I feel really down, so I might as well, I guess I need to hit the gym every single day at this time, like to do things that maybe don't feel as much of it. Like for Sallie, that is more of, I think, an outlet for you of like, I'm going to feel 1000% better if I get up and go to the gym. I don't always relate to that because I'm like, it's going to be a feat to get me there. I got to go through it. Like I make it more of a process, but I think that's because for my personality and who I am, maybe that's not the outlet I need. It doesn't mean that I don't need to do that because I need to work out. It's fine. But finding my own way of processing or kind of connecting back to myself, not for the importance of because I'm the most like me over everything, but going, okay, there is a truth to me finding some type of rhythm to be in turn, like not just a better version of myself, but a better mom for my kid or for like a better wife to my husband, like just be a better person. So I feel like that approaches that.
I think that this is another thing that I think you're really good at is just being very intentional with your time and how you spend it. But not just you. This is something that you and Jordan have really cultivated like for your home. Courtney posted the other day, Jordan left his phone out on the like their little on the wall outside their house, and it was there at least for one night, maybe.
Oh yeah, like probably
like close by the driveway,
hours,
right?
just
straight
outside,
in the outdoors, just forgotten.
Glad it didn't rain, but it was out there for a long time.
So obviously
he is unattached.
He's unattached to that, which means your life is, if you're not on your phone all the time or social media, like your life is a lot different.
Yeah.
And so you guys are very intentional with your time. You've recognized that to get the most out of your day and to feel the best about your life is like waking up, doing something that is life-giving to you first thing in the morning. You mentioned like the gym. So we went on vacation, went to Florida a couple weeks ago. And before that, we were in Texas for a show. And so I had not worked out. And I got to the middle of the trip, and I was just like, I feel itchy, just like I'm just super uncomfortable. I don't want to. So I went on the beach and did a beach beach workout. And there were people walking by, and I was just like jumping.
I just envision you like hitting the sand. You're like, no, days off, burpees.
I was doing burpees.
Meanwhile, you could picture Courtney off to the side under an umbrella, like journaling peacefully.
But I told Andrew, I like jumped in the ocean afterwards. It was so cold. It felt so good. Nice. It was awesome. And I told him, like, I have to have physical activity or I go crazy. And he was like, yeah, I know that about you. Like, I cannot, if I don't work out, like, it's not that I have to work out every day, but most days I need to be doing something or I get just like, ugh. And so, like, Holly, that's not necessarily your thing to do that all the time.
I can live without it for a few days. I don't feel the pull.
But I really feel for people who don't have journaling, who don't have working out, who don't have whatever it is that gives, like, that have nothing to just like anchor you.
So how do you find that? So say that's me. I'm like, I have nothing. I don't know what to do. How do I figure it out?
So I started. Have you read Atomic Habits?
I started it, but I didn't.
Oh,
it's a great book.
Courtney,
We're not
applying everything. Did you finish it?
I'm in chapter 2, but my life has already changed.
Oh, good. Let me tell you guys, I have read 1.5 chapters of this book. I finished the book.
I just started last week.
It's really good.
I'm telling you this because this is such a you book. You would, if you finish it.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it, but you've
so funny. You're like, you're so intentional.
To another, let's do this.
It's not that I haven't finished it. It's that I'm reading it. But he talks about in the beginning is that you're getting 1% better. Mm-hmm. And that, I was like, oh, I see where I have failed, or I set goals. And he talked about how winners and losers both had the same goal. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, so goals may not be the best thing to start with, but having a like, I'm just going to do 1% and asking yourself, am I doing something? Like, if my goal is to lose weight, am I making choices a healthy person would make? So like last night I went to the pantry to find an Oreo and they weren't there because Andrew had thrown them away. And I was like, you know what? I don't need an Oreo because 10 o'clock, this isn't the choice that a healthy person would make. I'm just not going to finish my day with an Oreo. But I love what you're saying is that you have made it a routine. It is a built-in part of your day, something that you look forward to every day. I just kind of take stock of how I'm feeling.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy to know what's good for you. And then you're like, well, now what do I do instead? So we all know, like, watching endless amounts of TV or just consuming social media all hours of the day is not good for us. Like, I think we can kind of agree on that. Yeah. But it's not as easy of just like, I'm going to stop doing that.
So just stop.
So just threw out, that's not the right word.
Did you throw it out like Jordan's phone on the wall?
Yes. Just throw your phone away. That's the answer.
Step 1.
So we got rid of our TV, which is funny, a long time ago when we first got married. So it's been a while. But then you kind of realize, well, I'm just filling that time with something else. I'm just scrolling on Instagram for the time that I was using to watch TV. So you're going to fill those moments with something else. And it will probably be around the same habit that it was. So I think what I've learned is I've had to be like, before I get rid of this thing, what am I going to choose to fill it with instead of like, okay, I need to wake up early. Well, yeah, but you need to have something exciting to wake up early to do. And so if that's working out, or like me, making tea and sitting down and journaling, or making a good breakfast, or going on a walk, like, you have to choose the better habit to fill it with. Otherwise, like, you're just going to go to the lesser thing. Because it's so easy to open your phone first thing. And obviously, like, I still get into that habit. And it's hard to just turn that off. But filling it with something better before you kind of remove the other habit, if that makes sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And then when I think of changes that I want to make, it's like, well, no wonder I failed, because I'm just like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I have no plan for anything that I'm going to change with. I'm just not going to do that anymore. And like a white knuckle, I can do it. And then I can't.
Well, and it's easy for me to be like an all or nothing person, in the sense of I see, if I'm going to climb a mountain, okay, well, I see that peak, I could get there. I can do that. But I'm forgetting that it's taking the steps and all of the in-between part that really matters, as opposed to, okay, well, it's not as simple as just making it there, crossing the finish line, doing whatever. It's I have to walk through what's right in front of me, as in like, well, I had a crappy week, I want to have a better week next week. Okay, well, it starts with tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so your journal, A Quiet Place.
Yes, which is, I learned now, also a horror movie. I didn't, well, not now.
Okay.
It's been a horror movie.
Technically,
That's
it's The Quiet Place.
Good.
It's totally different.
I actually didn't look it up.
And also, I've actually seen both the movies.
Is it great?
I mean, I don't know that I would say they're great. It's like
it's a fun
thriller. Have you
I
seen
probably
them?
won't watch it.
I've seen the first one.
They're like kind of thrillers, but it's not like a horror movie either way. It's like zombie dogs or something. I'm doing a great description of it.
Holly is obviously
John Krasinski's in it. It's a great movie.
Do you know Jim
Like him.
from The Office?
Yeah. Either way, totally different Quiet Places.
Back to the...
I would much rather go
Different.
to your version of Quiet Place as opposed to the movie. Sallie, continue.
So you have this laid out with kind of your format that you have been journaling.
Yes.
So it's got prompts or sort of like a flow for
Yeah.
what. So talk to us about.
Okay, so
that.
in the beginning, in the front of the book, there's some pages and there's like an introduction and some prompts. So there's 2 pages full of prompts, and it's just if you don't know where to start journaling, just go through those questions, and it's which one stands out to you type thing.
So your prompts are like...
Usually it's just like, I am disappointed that ...
Okay, so then people would be able to like take that and be like, I will start with that. Okay.
Or I had a great day because ... Like, I think journaling the high moments and not just the low moments are really important. And just to look back on that. And for me personally, that's like built my faith in a huge way to be like, oh, that was a really big struggle in my season, or that season. But look at where we are now. And
Yeah.
so I think that's, why I like to journal in a sense. But there's questions and prompts, and that's to get your mind going if you need help. And then the next page are word ideas. And at the beginning of each week, there's like a weekly check-in, and it's at the top, there's a word focus that you can choose if you want to. And just choosing a word that you're going to focus on. I do that for the whole year usually, but I think it's nice sometimes to be like, in this season, I want to focus on discipline, or I want to focus on just having more fun and not taking things too seriously.
Yeah.
And so there's a weekly check-in, and so there's a page of words that might spark something in you. And then there's more questions on the weekly check-in, and then every day there's space for 5 gratitude statements, and then the rest of the page is where you can write freely. So some days I write the whole page, some days I need extra pages, some days it's like I only got like a sentence here, and I think that's fine. So some days are more than others, but that's the flow throughout the whole book. So the prompts and words are at the beginning, and then the rest of the journal is free space for you to fill that out however you want to.
Okay, so I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
How has journaling helped you in your role as a mom and / wife? Mm-hmm. And how has it helped you in your business?
That's good. For the first one, like I said earlier, it was a rough transition in my mental state to becoming a mom. So just journaling about that. And now that we're at a better spot, I feel like I'm here because of just going through that process of emotions and feelings, and just being like, what is going on? And writing about that. And now it's kind of like, now I don't know what to do. Like, all right, so I'm going to just write about it. And a lot of my journals are prayers, like they are more of a conversation. And so it's kind of just like a working it out type situation, I feel like. So, for example, the other day I was journaling and Willow was waking up in the middle of the night, and I was not waking up as early, and I was not looking forward to the mornings because I knew like she was going to wake up in the middle of the night. And I'm journaling about it, and I'm just like, I want to go to sleep. Like, this is not the morning I want it to be. And just kind of journaling, like, what is it? Why is this happening? Would you give me wisdom, God? That's kind of how it came out. And later that day, I mean, totally seems separate from my journaling. I just felt like you should text Sallie.
Dang it.
I texted Sallie, and I just felt like you should text Sallie and ask her, like, do you have any insight on this? Like, help
You've
me.
got some
I have some babies that have not slept yet.
You have 2 children. I have 1.
Yeah.
And I need help. So I did, and you helped me, and I haven't told you this yet, but she slept every single day since.
So you're starting a
that
sleep
wild?
course
I
soon.
am starting a sleep course.
That's a great. Okay, thank you, Courtney,
transition.
for being here today. Sallie, you're starting something. We're kidding.
I'm so glad that was helpful.
But yeah, but I think that started with me being like, I need help, and I'm writing about it, and I'm trying to process through it alone, but then I take it comes up later because I had that space to process it, and that was helpful to, like, that's how I see it coming up throughout the rest of my life, and not just this, all right, close the journal and everything's great. It's this still working it out through relationships with people and my husband. And so, yeah, I think just taking the hard parts of being a mom and taking the good parts too, so I can look back on that and really being able to process through those things. And through my business, I think a big part of it, I think it's similar in the way of, writing it out and writing out the struggles and the successes and being excited about that, and asking myself, like, what is it really? Like, what do I really want out of this? And journaling through that and trying to process, like, what is this business for? And what kind of place does it need in our life right now? Because that changes, especially being a mom now. Like, business looks a lot different. So for business, I think it's like another thing in the middle of the day. If I'm having an off day, I'll just like, I have to write it out. And y'all probably think I'm like a good writer, but I'm really not. It's just, I mean, it's really messy. It doesn't make sense a lot of times. But that's okay because it's for me. It's not for anyone else to read. Thank God. But yeah, through business, it's been good to also look back on seasons of, I mean, I remember starting Rooney last year, and I was just like, this is a terrible idea. Like, why did I start everything? Why did I start this? Like, this is me journaling and questioning it and just really doubting it. And I journaled about it, and I feel like in those moments, that's where I'm quiet enough to hear and hear God speak to me, hear direction, hear wisdom, like just texting a friend, like stuff like that. It can be so small, but yeah, just processing through those things, because if you don't, like, I would have quit Rooney if I didn't. And now looking back and reading that journal, I'm so glad I didn't. And I'm also so glad I did feel those feelings, so that when I feel them again, I know, like, and that's just temporary and I can keep going. So
I think it's so nice to have a record of your life.
Yeah.
Of what, like, I was thinking the other day about, before something prompted me, like before I had Dot, I was thinking about something. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought at that point, like, I'm at the peak of maturity. I'm about to be a mother.
I've
arrived. And looking back, I'm like, I knew nothing. I didn't know, not nothing, but I'm like, I've grown
It's just different.
so much in the last few years in ways that I didn't know that I needed to grow. And I've got like journals, when I there have been times when I've done what you've said and written out a lot more intentionally. And I wish I did that more because I really do enjoy being able to go back and go, oh, and then it's funny when I'm looking at what I was praying about or worrying about. I'm like, I forgot all about that.
Oh, yeah.
And not that it wasn't important then, but you forget, and you also forget the good things that you think you will. I'll never forget this. Like you will. You're prone to forget everything.
Well, and with as much as we all take in on a daily basis, whether that's through social media or television or just, I mean, gosh, going to the grocery store and seeing the tabloids while you're waiting in the checkout line. Either way, we're just consuming things constantly that I think, is it more important to you to constantly consume things that aren't going to either stick and change your life or be able to look back on? Or I always think of with like social media or someone thinking like, well, I keep, like Instagram's kind of like a digital journal or something like that, to go, all of that can go away in 1 second. I mean, the servers could go down and we could lose everything. And so it's going, man, what a nice thing to have in my home, or that's in my possession. And obviously our possessions can also go away or whatever, but to go like, I'm in control of this, and this like directly goes in and out of my life and is not a reflection on what's always going on with everyone else, but what's going on with me today.
Yeah, I would definitely not journal my feelings on social media.
Listen, some people do.
They do. Maybe I could recommend a journal.
Maybe we could gently move you towards a personal
I'll send you one.
Maybe
journal.
some things need to be private. But it's also your writing, which takes longer.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else, I'm like, I'm texting. So
Right.
Andrew has a non-smartphone. Someone asked about this. It's called a light phone. And it's not a smartphone. It basically text calls. If you send him a picture, it forwards it to his email. So he made this change last year, and it is both wonderful for him to not be connected to all the things that he was connected to, and it's also really annoying when I have to text people for him. Because it is so hard to text. And every time I'm like, I hate texting on this phone. He goes, this is what it's for. It's so that you slow down and are intentional with your time and your words. I'm like, I don't want to be intentional.
I don't want to be.
I just want to zoom and send all the messages out. And I'm like, when you're not just moving at the speed of light, you're going slow.
Yeah.
And I think the pace of life is more enjoyable. But everything that you're saying, I'm like, I need to do that. For right now, I'm like, I need to do this with my business because I am living in the world of my feelings. And so something will go well and I'll be like, I'm doing great.
Yep.
And then things will go bad. I'm like, we need to shut it down.
Yeah.
Sell the business. And I don't know
high
why I
highs
did this.
and low lows.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And Andrew mentioned that to me yesterday. He's like, you are living on your feelings with this. And I'm like, I am. And I'm not really doing anything to change it. And so it's torturous. Like it's torturous. It's awful. And it's totally in my control. And not to say I'm gonna journal and tomorrow it's gonna be 6-figure.
It's going to change
month.
everything.
But I'm like, it's a start to at
Yeah.
least allow some space and some quiet for my feelings to actually come out, so I have clarity of thought, and then for God to have room to speak to me, because I'm kind of like, God, help me with my business, but work as fast as I can.
I'm doing it, so like don't override me.
Yeah.
but
Don't
just
interrupt.
like watch over my shoulder, kind of quietly.
Yeah.
Quiet. Sit over there.
I saw a quote recently that was a mom talking, and she was talking about I've been waking up to my kids instead of for my kids, and it really stuck with me.
It's really good.
In the sense of I kind of got off in a bad pattern of sleeping in, snoozing. I don't need this. I'm so tired. But then I look at, I'm like, oh, we're staying up until 11:30 or midnight most nights for no good reason, like just
Right.
because we're awake. And that really stuck with me in thinking, and obviously not everyone has kids, so maybe that quote doesn't hit as hard in the sense of being a mom and waking up to your kid screaming that they're
Yeah.
ready to get up, and then your morning's gone because you're in mom mode. And that shifted for me a few weeks ago of like, I value that time, And I love my time with Everly, and I love being a mom and being able to stay at home with her. But I love it more when I get up, make myself a cup of coffee, sit on the porch, journal. And I did buy Courtney's journal.
I've got to buy mine.
I do enjoy it because it actually it flows into kind of a similar format. And I saw journaling to be really helpful whenever we were going through everything with Everly.
Yeah.
And so that's one of mine that it's like, that's a hard journal to look back on because
Definitely.
there were some real frustrations and letdowns and just anger. But at the same time, I'm so thankful that I have it all to record back of the process of like, here's where things were okay. They're getting really bad. Things are really bad. It's not good. This is pretty dark. And then to see it kind of turn around and to go, I'm so thankful to have this. And I'll really be thankful to have it in 15 years or when, if Everly grows up. I think she's going to stay too, though. We don't want her to get any older, but that day to be able to even then invite her in on like,
Yeah.
this is what this looked like for me. And this is how we tried to trust God even when we felt like we were failing, but to have it written out in my own words. So I'm like, man, this is kind of a gift in itself
really is,
out of something that didn't feel like a gift at all, but it's like, oh, now I can see being on the other side of that. So completely have seen that to be true.
Yeah, and she'll be able to, I mean, if you're allowing her to just read your words and think of how that's going to build her faith. Of like, I mean, my life was on the line, but my mom wrote these words and now I can bring my honest thoughts to God.
Gonna get emotional
and
on the podcast.
I think that's a huge gift to her.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal.
You want to pull those journals out right now and read them all there?
I'm gonna read to you guys from page 7. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I think what you've created is really awesome.
Thank
because
you.
people who might be like me, they're like, I don't know what to say. Dear diary.
Yes.
I mean, we've
heard some of your diaries. You need guidance.
I know. But just if you don't know where to start, this is a great place to start. And I can attest that Courtney this is not just her like selling a product because she wants to make money off of your journaling. It is a passion. I think you really created this for yourself.
Yeah.
And then are inviting people to use.
Which is such
Yeah,
a Courtney
that's
thing
I know.
to do. You guys, on her own birthday, she wrote us notes about her thankfulness for us on her own birthday. I came home to Micah. I said, who is this person?
I haven't even written you a thank you card.
I said, Courtney is so nice and selfless. But just so that all of that is clear, she is the real deal, and everything that she is saying is 100% lived out in her day-to-day life. And we are absolutely linking this in the show notes, the journal for you guys to go get. It's on Amazon, so it's even easier. You can get it in your hands in 2 days, just like that.
Easy.
It's on
Thank
Prime.
you.
And people can follow you, your clothing company, Rooney.
Rooney Clothing on Instagram.
And then they can follow you personally.
Yes. Courtney _ Weston.
We will also link
two
those in the show
underscores.
notes.
I know. It's kind of hard, but
Okay.
the other ones were taken.
And Courtney is worth following. You will be encouraged. You will be wishing you could eat some of that sourdough that she makes. She's a really fun follow and a great friend.
Hopefully you'll go on to make your own.
You know
you.
what?
I'm not saying I inspired.
What?
I've been thinking about doing a sourdough starter, and then I thought maybe Holly will just give me some of hers so that I don't have to read all the instructions.
It's like a year and a half old. It's pretty
It's
established
cultured.
now.
It'll be great.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
got
share some with you.
Okay.
What are
I'm going to
friends
need
for?
some instructions.
Well, that I won't do.
Google it.
Google it.
I will. There's probably an Instagram post somewhere for
Courtney,
how to do
thank
it.
you so much.
Thanks
for
having
accepting the
me.
invitation and
Thanks.
being the first guest also
Thanks
that we've ever had.
Thanks for not making me tell a poop story.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
if
how we
you
were going to
have
wrap
one.
up.
Have you pooped your pants lately?
Lately?
Yeah, lately.
Almost.
Have you? We'll have to save that for another time.
Maybe
You'll
we'll
have to
have you
have me
back
back.
on and we'll
If
talk
the ratings
more.
are good.
All right. You guys have a great rest of your day and week. Be sure to go get Courtney's journal, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.